What distinguishes the exceptional from the average? Why do some individuals excel across various aspects of life while others merely get by? It isn't solely about innate talent, rather, it's about a blend of mindset, strategic thinking, discipline, and an insatiable curiosity. Today, we're diving deep into how the ancient philosophy of Stoicism can unlock a transformative way of life that breeds not just success, but deep personal fulfillment. Stoics teach us that excellence isn't about what happens to us, but how we respond to what happens. And in this video, I'll show you how to harness these principles to elevate every area of your life. If you value insights that challenge and transform, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's a simple, free way to support us. Let's get started and unlock the extraordinary. Chapter 1: The Mindset of Mastery. Ever wondered why some folks just seem to have it all figured out? They tackle life's hurdles with a calm confidence that almost makes it look easy. You see, the secret sauce to their success isn't some well-guarded mystery, it's their mindset. The mindset of mastery isn't about being perfect, it's about cultivating a mental landscape where every challenge is a chance to grow and learn. Now, let's dive into the Stoic philosophy for a minute. The Stoics had a saying that goes, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path." Imagine seeing a roadblock not as a stop sign, but as a detour sign pointing you toward a new route packed with opportunities. It's about flipping the script in your head. Every setback is reframed as a setup for a comeback. Carl Jung, a heavyweight in the world of psychology, once remarked, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is a call to delve deep into our own minds, to understand and direct our thoughts and feelings instead of being steered by them unwittingly. Mastery starts with self-awareness, recognizing our own patterns and triggers, and actively shaping our responses to the world around us. To start developing a mastery mindset, begin each day with a moment of reflection. Ask yourself, what am I focusing on today? Shift your focus from what could go wrong to what you will do right. It's about keeping your eyes on the goals you set, and not the distractions that pop up along the way. Stoicism teaches us to differentiate between what we can control and what we cannot. Pour your energy into the former and release your grip on the latter. Embracing this mindset means committing to continuous improvement, not settling for mediocrity. It's about striving not just for success, but for significance. It involves a relentless pursuit of knowledge, not just for the sake of having it, but for the purpose of using it wisely. Remember, in the words of Marcus Aurelius, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So paint your thoughts with resilience, wisdom, and tenacity. Chapter 2: Learning how to learn. Isn't it wild how we spend years in school but rarely learn how to actually learn? That's what we're tackling today. The key to mastering any skill isn't just hard work, it's smart work, learning how to learn efficiently and effectively. And trust me, this can be a game changer, whether you're aiming to master a new language, pick up a guitar, or dive into quantum physics. Now, let's lean on some timeless wisdom from Carl Jung, who advised, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." This insight nudges us towards introspection as a learning tool. Understanding how you absorb information best isn't just helpful, it's crucial. Are you a visual learner, or do you prefer to learn by doing? Do you retain information better in the morning or late at night? Awakening to your personal learning style is the first step towards learning mastery. Then there's the Feynman technique, which we touched on before. It's about simplifying complex ideas into simple, relatable concepts, as if you're explaining them to a 10-year-old. Why does this work? because it forces you to understand the material at its core. If you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough. This method isn't just effective, it's transformative. The Stoics, with their emphasis on clarity and self-control, offer a powerful anchor for learners. They believed in the importance of focusing on what is essential and within one's control. When learning something new, ask yourself, what is the most important thing I need to understand from this lesson? Then, zone in on that and eliminate the fluff. This Stoic approach helps strip away the unnecessary, allowing you to focus on the core knowledge that truly matters. Incorporating active recall into your learning routine can massively boost your retention. This means regularly testing yourself on the material, not just passively rereading your notes. Create flashcards, take quizzes, or teach the material to someone else. As Seneca once said, while we teach, we learn. By actively engaging with the information, you're not just learning, you're embedding this knowledge deep within your memory. Chapter 3. The Power of Deep Work. You know that feeling when you're so deeply immersed in a task that the world around you just fades away? That's the magic of deep work, and it's not just about grinding away at your desk. It's about creating a state of flow where your mind is fully tuned into what you're doing. This isn't just productive, it's profoundly satisfying. Carl Jung once pointed out, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. This ties beautifully into the concept of deep work. When you dive deep, you're not just completing tasks, you're exploring the inner workings of your mind and potential. You're turning inward to tap into your deepest levels of concentration and creativity. But how do you achieve this state regularly? It starts with eliminating distractions. In today's world, that's a challenge, right? Notifications, social media, emails, they all compete for our attention. But here's a Stoic strategy. Control your environment to control your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote about creating a fortress within yourself. So imagine building a mental barrier that keeps out distractions. This could be as simple as turning off your phone or using apps that block distracting sites during work hours. Next, time blocking is crucial. Allocate specific chunks of time to different tasks, and during those blocks, do nothing else but the task at hand. This method honors the Stoic practice of focusing only on the present task, as Epictetus suggested. Do not be distracted by the noise of the world, but keep your gaze fixed on the task at hand. To really enhance your deep work sessions, consider incorporating some pre-work rituals. Maybe it's a few minutes of meditation, a short walk, or a cup of coffee in silence. Whatever it is, let it signal to your brain that it's time to dive deep. The ritual isn't just about the activity itself, it's about setting a mental intention that primes you for deep work. Remember, deep work isn't a sprint, it's more like a marathon. It requires practice and patience. Start small, maybe an hour a day, and gradually increase the time as you build your mental endurance. Over time, you'll find your capacity for deep work expanding, not just in the duration you can maintain focus, but in the depth and quality of the work you produce. Chapter 4. Mastering Memory and Retention. Ever had one of those moments where you walk into a room and forget why you're there? Or maybe you meet someone new and their name escapes you as soon as it's spoken. It's frustrating, right? Well, let's dive into how you can turbocharge your memory and retention, turning that forgetfulness around. Carl Jung once suggested that the capacity for directed thinking I call intellect. The capacity for passive or undirected thinking I call intellectual intuition. To enhance memory, we must engage in both, actively organizing information while allowing our intuition to connect the dots. It's about constructing a mental map where information is not just stored, but interlinked in meaningful ways. So, how do we do this? Let's start with something called the memory palace technique, which is not just effective, but pretty fun. Imagine placing bits of information in specific locations within a place you know well, like your home. Each piece of information is linked to a different room. This method leverages spatial memory and can be incredibly powerful in anchoring information deeply. Now, the Stoics were all about using rational and practical methods to improve their lives. They believed in the power of repetition and constant review to embed knowledge. Just like Marcus Aurelius would write in his meditations to clarify and remind himself of the principles he must live by, you can apply this by regularly revisiting the knowledge you need to retain. This could mean weekly reviews of your notes or daily recaps of what you learned. This isn't just rote repetition. It's about engaging with the material on a regular basis, which strengthens the neural connections in your brain. Here's another tip. Make it a story. Our brains love narratives, and we tend to remember information much better when it's part of a story. This is where you can get creative. Turn those dry facts into a vivid tale with characters, conflicts, and resolutions. Not only does this make the learning process more enjoyable, but it also makes it stick. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of teaching others. Seneca said, "While we teach, we learn." By explaining a concept to someone else, you're not just helping them, you're also reinforcing your own understanding and retention. It forces you to structure your knowledge clearly and identify any gaps in your own understanding. Chapter 5. The Art of Critical Thinking. How many times have you heard someone say, "Just think critically about it"? Sounds straightforward, right? But true critical thinking is more of an art than a simple command. It's about digging deeper, challenging the status quo, and not just accepting things at face value. Let's unpack how you can master this art and not just scratch the surface of ideas. Carl Jung was big on the idea of integrating shadow aspects to see the whole truth. He believed that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This directly feeds into critical thinking. It's about being aware of not just the obvious, but also the hidden, less comfortable truths that shape our understanding. When you critically examine an argument or a belief, it's like turning on a light in a previously dark room of your mind. Suddenly, things you took for granted get questioned and new possibilities emerge. The Stoics, too, were masters of critical thinking. They urged us to question our impressions, to not just react emotionally, but to respond with reason. Marcus Aurelius would often write about the importance of analyzing one's judgments and not being swayed by external appearances. So, when you're faced with a problem, take a step back. Think about it like a Stoic. Ask yourself, is this something within my control? What are the facts? Am I being biased? One practical step you can take is to always look for evidence. When someone makes a claim, ask for the source. When you read an article, check who's behind it. This doesn't mean turning into a skeptic on everything, but rather being discerning about where your information comes from. It's about building a mental filter that sifts out fact from fiction. Another key aspect of critical thinking is to play devil's advocate. Try arguing the opposite of what you believe. This not only strengthens your argument, it also shows you the gaps in your reasoning. It's like a mental gym where your ideas are the weights. Lifting those weights from different angles builds a stronger intellect. Chapter 6. The Art of Decision-Making. Making decisions is like setting the sails on your personal ship. The choices you make determine the course of your journey. But here's the kicker. It's not always about choosing the right path, but about steering confidently even through rough waters. How do you do that, especially when the stakes are high and the choices are overwhelming? Let's break it down. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This mindset is key in decision-making. It emphasizes the power of choice and the impact these choices have on shaping our lives. It's about being proactive, not reactive, and making decisions that align with who you aim to be. The Stoics provide a powerful framework for decision-making as well. They focused heavily on distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot. For every decision you face, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is, then you have the power to act. If it's not, focus instead on your response to the situation, which is always within your control. This Stoic principle helps simplify complex decisions by cutting away the noise of external factors. Now let's talk strategy. One effective method is the decision matrix, where you weigh up different options against a set of criteria that are important to you. It's like creating a scoreboard for your choices. Say you're deciding between job offers, factor in things like salary, location, career growth, and work-life balance. Assign scores to each based on how they meet your criteria, and see which option comes out on top. Another crucial element in decision-making is listening to your intuition. Jung was a big advocate for integrating intuition with rational thought. He believed that our unconscious often holds insights that our conscious mind might miss. So, if you're torn between choices, take a moment to listen inward. What does your gut say? Often your intuition is a distillation of many smaller observations and feelings. It's your brain's way of telling you what it knows deep down. But remember, decision-making is also a skill that improves with practice. The more decisions you make, the better you get at it. Reflect on past decisions. What went well? What didn't? What can you learn from those experiences? Keep a decision journal if that helps. Over time, you'll start to see patterns in your decision-making style, which can guide you in refining your process. Chapter 7. Mastering Emotional Intelligence. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to have a magic touch with others? They can navigate tough conversations with ease and always seem to know just what to say. That's not just good luck, it's emotional intelligence. Mastering this can transform not just how you relate to others, but how you understand yourself. Carl Jung highlighted the importance of self-awareness in emotional intelligence when he said, "He who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakes." It's this introspective journey that unlocks our capacity to manage our own emotions and understand those of others around us. When you become aware of your emotions and their origins, you can begin to manage them more effectively, preventing them from overpowering your reasoning or reactions. Stoicism, too, offers a treasure trove of wisdom on emotional intelligence, especially with its focus on self-control and rational analysis of one's emotional state. The Stoics taught that emotions are natural, but we have the power to choose our response to them. This choice is the essence of emotional intelligence. Imagine you're in a heated discussion. Instead of reacting impulsively, a Stoic would advise you to pause, assess your emotions, and choose a response that aligns with your values. To develop emotional intelligence, start by practicing mindfulness. Pay attention to your feelings throughout the day. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Why? This isn't about judging your feelings as good or bad, but about acknowledging them. This mindfulness allows you to better control your emotional responses rather than being controlled by them. Next, empathy is crucial. This is where you try to see things from another person's perspective. It's not just about understanding their feelings, but also about appreciating their emotional experience. This can be as simple as asking someone, How did that make you feel? Or what's your take on this? It shows that you value their emotions and viewpoints, which is foundational in building strong, respectful relationships. Then, there's the art of emotional regulation. This means not letting highs get too high or lows too low. It's about maintaining a balanced state, where you manage your emotions in ways that are appropriate to the circumstances. This could involve techniques like deep breathing when anxious, or not responding to a provocation until you've had time to cool down and think it through. Emotional intelligence also extends to your social skills, being able to navigate social situations adeptly, communicate effectively, and build strong bonds based on mutual understanding and respect. This includes knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to change the topic of conversation for the comfort of others. Chapter 8. Building Unshakable Confidence. You know how sometimes you feel like you can take on the world and other times not so much? That roller coaster isn't just you, it's a common human experience. But imagine if you could level out those peaks and valleys into a consistent sense of confidence. That's not just a pipe dream, it's totally achievable with the right approach. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This hits right at the core of true confidence. It comes from genuine self-awareness and self-acceptance. Understanding who you are, including your strengths and your limitations, forms the bedrock of genuine confidence. It's not about inflating your ego or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about embracing your authentic self and owning it fully. The Stoics also had a lot to say about confidence, especially in terms of controlling what we can and accepting what we can't. Epictetus, for example, urged people to focus on their own actions and judgments, which are within their power, rather than external events that aren't. Applying this Stoic wisdom, think about confidence not as a fixed trait, but as a skill you can develop by focusing on what you can control: your actions, your responses, and your mindset. To build this kind of unshakable confidence, start by setting small, achievable goals. Every time you meet one, no matter how small, you reinforce your self-efficacy. You prove to yourself that you can do what you set out to do, which in turn boosts your confidence to tackle bigger challenges. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Another key aspect is to practice self-compassion. Beating yourself up over mistakes or shortcomings can erode your confidence. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a good friend. This doesn't mean making excuses for yourself. It means acknowledging that you're human and that growth comes from learning, not from perfection. Also, keep in mind that confidence comes from competence. The more you refine your skills and expand your knowledge, the more confident you'll become in your abilities. This could mean practicing a musical instrument, learning a new software program, or simply deepening your knowledge about a topic of interest. As you see your competence grow, so too will your confidence. Lastly, surround yourself with support. The people around us can have a massive impact on how we see ourselves. Spend time with people who lift you up and believe in you, and consider distancing yourself from those who consistently undermine your self-esteem. Thank you for joining us today at Stoic Journal. Remember, the path to greatness is paved with wisdom and resilience. For more insights, check out the suggested video on your screen and continue your journey with us. Embrace the wisdom, live the philosophy,